Hi, guys. I'm super excited to share this conversation that Kelly and I had a few days ago about everything that's happening around the filming of genQ Season 3. Um, my reactions to the genQ scenes that I watched when I was attempting to edit a Tibet video using the genQ material. And we talked in length about how we envision genQ season 3, or what we think, what would make sense for genQ season 3 to be like. And we do a lot of linking back and forth, Tibet, how we know them, from the L Word season 1 through 6, to what could possibly explain some of the stuff that happened in genQ season 1, or what would have made sense. We talked about possible ideas for fan fiction. So I think this chat we had was really fun, because we really like touched a lot of topics, and we let our imagination run, and we did a lot of thinking about how the L Word would connect to genQ, um, in a way that would make sense. And so we made predictions at the very end about how we think season 3 will play out, based on what we know so far, what we've seen, the little clues here and there from the pictures that they've shared behind the scenes. So yeah, this is a lot of speculation. It was just fun to really just like think deeply about these issues that are super fun for, I'm sure, for many of you, and as well as us, to talk about and just like discuss. So I hope you guys enjoy this combo that we had. And there's really no structure, but I try to provide you guys with markers throughout the video, letting you know what topic we were touching in that minute. So I hope you guys enjoy, and you guys let us know what your own speculations are for genQ season 3. If you have other bits and pieces that we might have missed, that we can talk about in our next chat. And let us know what you think about all the topics that we touched in the video. So here you go.
Just felt so it felt so weird because
It does. It felt horrible.
so that parenting thing, I didn't really get to it because I wasn't gonna use anything parenting. So I watched the scene, not even the whole scene, but part of the scene where they're talking about that scene where Laurel has the leather pants and they're in the kitchen and
Yeah. That's like the next day. They're having coffee and they're talking, and she says, I needed space, or you needed space, or I couldn't come and see Kit. I didn't come to the funeral because it was too close to the divorce.
It was baloney. It was so baloney. Yeah. I was like, oh my God, this is like the writing. I was like, oh
yeah.
I'm not gonna waste time on this, but
I could have written that better. I would have written that scene so much different.
And that's what I was gonna say to you, Kelly. That's what I was gonna say. I wonder if the reason why I'm so annoyed is because I feel like I could have done a better job. And I'm not.
Well, they had Regina Hicks in that room for the first season. Kelly, Regina Hicks.
I told you this before, though. It's not enough to have people of color in the writer's room. And this is an extremely good example of that. The power, unfortunately, it ends up at the hands of the showrunner.
Right.
And you can tell, she's not in it. She sold herself as, I'm bringing that diversity. No, she wasn't. She just wanted to tell her stories. Her stories, nobody cared for them because people can't relate to her stories because she's not relatable.
I didn't go into the show with the misconception of thinking this was going to be OG. I didn't think it was going to be that at all. Never thought it was going to be that.
Let me just say a line before I forget it.
Okay.
You can't turn characters into your characters.
Right.
That's what you try to do.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. If you look at any iconic characters, and this is where they forget. This is fundamentally where they went wrong, is that going into the show, Tibette Shane, Alice, they were iconic in the lesbian community. People, you talk L word and people have the people they like. But when you talk about the couple, and what people see as representation, they held out to the straight world, it was Tina and Bette. And why did Tina and Bette work? Because they're beautiful women and they sold into a straight population. That's why it worked. But the thing is, what people forget is that that's how things get introduced into. You sell them something that they can sort of relate to.
Yeah.
And they can watch. So
it's about making something unrelatable relatable.
Right.
And
the thing that just I keep going back to is that how many different Superman movies have we seen? Now I watch a lot of Superman, but there's been 4 or 5 different actors who've played Superman, and every single one of them put their spin on the character. Okay, so they made the character as much as they could their own, but the character is bigger than them, and you can't change the character, and you can't change the stories that are already there because people know the stories. What she did, and I every time I just cringe at this because it's such a level of disrespect for the fans, for the community, for anybody who understands what representation is all about, because representation is people having the trust and respect of something to represent them outside of themselves. And we chose, the fans, which that's our power. That's what gives us power, because we get to choose who. You may force us to some group of people or a person or whatever. You may want us to do this. And you saw, Chaykin wanted Jenny to be this, and Raja wanted Sophie to be that. And, but fans chose something different. And in the case of Tina and Bette, the fans, not only lesbian community, the LGBT community as a whole, chose Tina and Bette to be their representatives. We chose them. And then that means you can't go in there and unchoose them. You can't do that. And so now they're wondering why, it's like, and I get Laurel's response about the bullying of Carrie. I get it. But even setting that aside, because that's a 2-level issue there, about harassing or about saying disrespectful things to Rosie O'Donnell about her role as Carrie, because people blend the two, and that's not good, because Rosie was only acting a role that she was hired to do. It wasn't, granted there was probably some behind the scenes maneuvering so she can get the role, but either way, it's still a character. And ultimately, we do know that Laura Holman and Jennifer Beals believe in these characters, and I think they understand the level of representation that they hold. But even with that even being said, you still have decisions being made that ultimately are trying to erase this representation, which was already decided upon by a generation ago of women, and you can't take it away. I mean, yes, there is a group of fans that like Pippa, but they like Pippa for all the wrong reasons. They like Pippa because they want the African-American representation. She's a beautiful woman. Vanessa Williams is a beautiful woman. Of course she's beautiful. And that's why they want her there. They want their beautiful Black woman on the show. You've got your 2 beautiful white, you've got all these beautiful white women. Where's our beautiful Black woman? And Bette barely gets a pass. And we already discussed why, because she falls for what, she looks for white. So that's what they want. And of course, the smart ass remark I've always made is, what, you're going to hold Bette up and just link every single population with her at some point. She's just going to have a relationship with every single racial color you can come up with because everybody wants to see themselves with Bette. What was that? What was something I read? That how ridiculous does it look as a woman pushing 60 is sleeping around? You don't, people.
I've been the harshest and the most, I guess, vocal about the tropes that they've been writing about, that they're not even aware that they're doing. I'm like, do you realize exactly what you're telling, what narrative you're telling here? And there and everywhere, for the sake of what exactly?
I don't know. I don't know.
I think
I'm in mourning for the old show. I'm finally just.
They really thought that like Bette alone could pull it off. I don't know if I've said this. I don't know if I had this conversation with you, but it hit me really hard the other day when I was editing. I don't think I told you. I don't know who I was having this conversation with. I was editing that video, my Bette video, the one that I can't take my ass off of you. It's the Bette video. I was working on that video and it was so hard for me to edit that video because I realized that Bette doesn't have that much range of emotions, or like even of like roles, and I was like, this video is fucking hard to edit because there's not a lot of range. Everything's so similar. There's no range. And with Tina is a huge range. She's happy, she's sad, she's laughing, she's not laughing, she's crying, and Bette is like sort of like very like, and I'm like, oh my fucking God, this is hard. Like, how am I gonna finish this thing? And so like, and I kept looking and I kept looking and I kept looking, and I just couldn't, like, it was really, really hard. It was really, really hard. And then I realized then that, season 5, it all revolves around Tina. Everything is Tina. Tina is the hub. And you know what else is season 5? That most popular season. Tina is everything in season 5. And again, she's so underrated. She is able to get along with so many characters, and she's able to like.
I hope they flesh out Tina and Alice's relationship. They were such good friends.
She has chemistry with anything. That woman has chemistry with anything. You see her have chemistry with like the Sam from that set. You have her have really good chemistry with Jenny. Their scenes are so touching and moving.
It's Laurel. It's Laurel's personality.
It probably. Well, I'm not right now at the moment. I'm not very.
Yeah, it's Laurel.
Her personality is not giving me good vibes right now with Laurel. But I will say that like she just has she with Nikki, with the managers, with Nikki, with Tina is the star of season 5, and I think we've slept on it. Like, we really slept on it until like I realized, holy shit, like literally she's like at the same, and here's what's so ironic. Bette steps into her world. We're living in Tina's world, and we're just living in her world all season 5. Bette is technically a secondary character at that point, because when do we really see Bette at work in season 5? Hardly. Yeah. And that main characters, you step into their world when they're the main characters. That didn't happen in season 5. It was all about Tina, and that because it had to happen, because we had to see her strength, because we had to see who Tina is and how
we had to see Tina. We had to see who Tina was, for that would bring Bette back to the table. We had to see it.
In my head, and maybe which I am completely biased, is I think that Tina could be a fucking rag doll that doesn't move.
I don't think so.
That would still want her. I think so.
Now I think she would be a little bit more forgiving on a lot of areas. Back then, I don't think so much. Too much had happened already.
I think there was. I feel like their connection is like extremely emotional. Like they have a really, really strong emotional connection, and I think that overrides a lot of the stuff that don't make sense, but it makes sense.
Well, what they remind me of is
Uh.
one of those couples that are married for like 40, 50 years, and they fall in and out of love a couple of different times through the course of their relationship. You know,
So the thing is, can I
but they make that seem like a bad thing
no,
because those in and out of the relationship
so
growth and
no.
change.
So let me step in for like long-term relationship. I've been with my wife for 14 years. 14 years since I was 14. So like what, 20 years, 20, yeah, 20, 21 years old? Oh my fucking God. Yes, I, so you never fall out of love with them.
No.
There's no such thing as falling out of love.
Mm.
Never said that.
So to ask for Tina to ask that question was unfair because she already knew the answer because she's still in love with Bette. That's why it didn't work.
So there is a deep emotional connection, and that's why I said even if Tina was a rag doll, Bette would still want her. Like and it there's just a deep connection there, like a really deep connection that happens over time. That like and I think JB kind of started talking about this, which I love, which I can relate to, because you jump from this type of love where it's like very much like passion. It's like a passionate type of love to like a completely different type of love where like it really becomes this really selfless, this really it transforms. It's so pure. It's so I can't really.
Bette does become, think about it, Bette does become selfless because she lets Tina walk out the door and doesn't chase after her.
Well, so
we're led to believe we're led to believe that Bette did not chase her, that she said okay and let her go.
I feel like it can only happen if it's mutual. It can't be one-sided. Like the only way that you can be that vulnerable if you know that other person's like that vulnerable with you. It doesn't happen.
In what? In them coming together?
That type of love, that type of
love,
yeah. Like it can't happen one way. So what I'm saying is,
and that's kind of interesting you say that, because if you go with the way they're playing this, then Tina's sitting in I know but I don't want to mode, and that's why she's marrying Carrie, because she knows she loves Bette, but she doesn't want to be that.
And so going back to Laurel Holloman, like when you started talking about Laurel Holloman and them not knowing how popular Tina was and Laurel was her fandom, that sounds really hard to believe, especially coming from someone like Laurel who had gone to like all those conferences to meet fans. As it like you don't know like who your fans are, because like that sounds really crazy to me.
So, yeah, but I think I think she knew. I think she knew.
So
I think she knew.
So when you were saying about early on, when the talks first started happening about the show and what the show would be, and that the OG would only be there for like 3 seasons, and like that they were just gonna get the show off the ground, and then the new generation was gonna take over, and that you would see like guest stars, like just to check in with them and things like that. That early on, we're talking about 2017. I still remember 2017, because when those talks were happening, the storyline about the divorce hadn't even happened. Like I don't think there was it was not conceived until later. But it was really early on when the buzz started happening about the show coming back, that a lot of fans went to Laurel and asked her over and over, "Are you coming back, Laurel? Are you coming back, Laurel? Are you coming back, Laurel?" And I think, honestly, that's like I think Laurel knew right away that the show couldn't come back without her, because when fans asked, she literally answered fans, "Of course I am. Of course I want to be back." I want to play Tina again. Like, you know,
Mhm.
she applied to a few
I
fans.
remember that. I remember that early, like way before when the discussions about the show coming back, but nothing had been solidified.
Yeah.
You're right. You're
And
right. I remember reading that she had said she would come back. It's the only thing she would come back for.
yeah,
But she hadn't been asked. She hadn't been asked.
I haven't been asked. And she said that I haven't been
Uh-huh.
asked. And so I think that, see, this is why Marge is like, I think she's lied to people. She's been really dishonest about Laurel,
Mhm.
where she's blamed Laurel about Tibet. Like in season 1, she tried to say that it was because of Laurel's career, because she was retired. When Laurel had told fans that she would come back, and that's the only reason why she would come back was for Tibet. You know? And she tried to throw she tried to throw Laurel under the bus. And we know now that she was pulled into the writers, basically when the writers had already written the first 2 episodes of the first season, you know, like because they saw the pressure from the fans, you know, on social media, that we knew that the show was coming back, and there was a lot of pressure because people were asking for Tina. And so they had already started writing the series, and they didn't do with the pressure. And so they wrote her in, but they weren't gonna have her in the show that much. You know, she was gonna be the bad guy. Like you, and I'm like, how the fuck did they sell this to Laurel? You know, I gotta give it to Marcia. She's just a good saleswoman.
I think there's more to it though. I think the sales package, I think that they went after Laurel. Well, they kept it hidden. They kept it hidden first off.
It wasn't hidden from us at all. We all knew.
Well, we knew, we just didn't know how it was gonna work. Because they tried to keep it away from us. And I really think, I read what was it I read with the IMB thing or IMBH?
Yes, but even before
disclosure on that was all bullshit.
Even before that we knew, there was we knew the day that she was filming. That's how
really?
Yeah, there was a red carpet. It coincided with the timing of the taping of episode 6. So that's how we knew that she was going to be in episode 6. They were posting pictures of behind the scenes of what episodes they were filming at the time. It just coincided with, there were a few clues that we took in. It was in October that episode got, like, close to Halloween, that episode got shot. And she had been in LA. She had posted that she had attended this event in LA. And then she posted a picture where she looked a lot like Tina. She didn't look like that anymore. And so she posted a picture, and she looked a lot like Tina, and we were like, oh shit, it's happening. It just coincided with that. She
dyed her hair. She dyed her hair
Yeah.
because she was sporting her red hair, her natural red hair. And then all of a sudden she became strawberry blonde.
Yeah. We knew it. We were, it was like, oh shit, it's happening. It's happening. Like it's happening. So we knew it was happening. I don't know, like if there's record on Twitter that we knew it was happening. We didn't know how she was gonna come back. She was gonna be. We knew she was gonna be in it for sure, but we didn't know what was happening with Tibette. The rumor was that they were gonna be divorced. That was the rumor. And before it even aired, before it even finished getting rated and finished getting put on there, that's when we started making a lot of noise on social media, because that was what they were saying, that they were going to be divorced. And so that's when we started like making a lot of noise and be like, you can't divorce them. And so like we put a lot of pressure on the show, the other fandom that it's long gone. And that's when we started, like really technically we started making a lot of noise back then, because we knew she was coming back. And then when the whole thing I was so angry, because I'm like, you're not fooling anyone. Like you're trying to be secretive and baloney. Like you're not fooling anyone. We knew she was going to be there. We knew it was going to be episode 6. We were like expecting it. I was like, I remember tweeting like, are you guys ready for tonight? We knew about the divorce before genQ even aired. Like before it leaked out, because the screeners, they send out the screeners, and in France, some people leaked it in France and gave us the whole the first 3 episodes. We got
You mean the scripts? You mean the scripts?
No, they just summarized the 3 episodes, and they gave us to detail a lot of the scenes from the 3 episodes. So we knew before they even aired, before even episode 1 aired, we knew everything. And so they thought that they were so coy and that we didn't know nothing. We already knew everything, and we had been talking about it for months. And so like a lot of people were really disappointed with Laurel. I wasn't, because I kept thinking that this is why we parted ways, because I I just I just needed to feel hopeful, because I was like, she wouldn't do this to us. She knows. She knows us personally. She's gone to the conferences. She's had like, you know, intimate conversations with many fans. She wouldn't do this to us. She would never do this to us. Like, I would refuse to believe that she would do that. And so and now I'm like, yeah, you look like a fucking clown, don't you?
I think that the first season was a wing and a prayer thing. They brought her in at the last minute, even because she wouldn't talk about it when she was at her showing. She's got it on tape. And they had the last 2 questions they asked her. They're like, you know, this is coming back. Have you been asked? And she says, I'm contractually not allowed to say anything about this.
That's how we knew too, because she was really
evasive.
She had already told fans very early on that she would come back and that she wanted to come back. And then she was very vocal about wanting to come back, and then she just
stopped,
which meant that she was coming, because otherwise she would have said something else like everybody else. I think it was because she said really early on that she would come back,
I think she also said early on that she wouldn't come back as a full-time. She did say that also. She was like very cognizant about the fact that she had her other career going on.
I think she had.
I don't think she ever planned on being a principal in the show.
My understanding is that she had said that she had limited availability.
Right.
Which you can interpret that the way that you just interpreted, or you can interpret it which work around my schedule.
Yeah, and I think that they have, but if you're gonna, with her showings and things, if they were gonna have her in every episode, it would be hard to film. Like, what's going to be interesting, what they're going to do with Kate Mooney now with her having COVID. They said that the whole 3rd season is going to, that Shane and Tess are going to play is going to be the principal ship, which I'm like, you're not going to do Ginny. Okay, fine, you guys, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You want to get rid of the OG, and then what do? You focus on the OG.
A lot of egos flying around.
Oh yeah.
Not understanding. Like, you're literally like, if you want a playbook on how to destroy yourself, genQ is writing it. So, you know, this is it. If that's what you're looking for, this is your book on how to destroy.
Well, I don't think they had planned to have. I think they were going to write Tina out after but season 1.
Yeah, they were. That was.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was pretty obvious that.
Yeah, that was the sense that we all got, because I think they just wanted to. They knew fans were really vocal, Kelly. Like, you know, these fans, the fans that they're nothing, because the fans that were before. If you think I'm hardcore, you don't know hardcore. I'm not even 50% of how they were. And I'm hardcore, right? You don't know the ones that are gone. Like, they literally they were hardcore. And I think they were they were feeling the pressure. If I'm being honest, they really felt the pressure. genQ people, the PR people really tried. They tried to weave this narrative, and I'll give it to them, because they really did try to use PR, but their PR didn't work, because we weren't buying it. The people who were around were really like, there was at some point I was talking to 2 doctors. One of them was a surgeon. Just to give you the idea of the level of caliber of like fans that we had back then. Told me stories about them going to L5 to all these conferences. I feel really disappointed about the way that Laurel has been behaving this last few weeks, with her going off on like actual fans who like literally support her, and who literally are the ones who would buy her stuff and have bought her prints. And really,
well, I just think it's a little late in the game now to be coming out about Rosie O'Donnell. Yes. I'm just saying, it's a little late in the game. If you wanted to if you wanted to really get into defending it, then you should have done it a year ago, when the shit was really flying back and forth.
It just seems misguided, misdirected, out of place. It comes out of nowhere. I feel like it's coming out of nowhere. And
Yeah, I would agree. Because I would agree. I mean, she's not wrong. She's not wrong in what she's saying. I'm gonna say that right now. I read her post. She's not wrong in what she's saying, but there isn't anything that was said that hasn't been said for the last year, since the day, not last year, since the day Rosie O'Donnell was casted and it was announced
it just
that what was being thrown around. And then even, I mean, you really want to get into it, talk about what was being said about her having a sex scene with Rosie O'Donnell and some of the shit they were saying about that. I mean,
yes.
I mean,
I'm,
there was nothing nice said about Rosie O'Donnell being paired with Laura Holloman in the roles of Carrie and Tina. There was nothing positive about that. From day one, there was nothing positive about it. So, but you can even go further back than that. There was nothing positive said about Tina being engaged to a woman by the name of Carrie. So we go all the way back to Tina telling Bet she's engaged to Carrie. When that dropped, that's when the hate started happening then too. And it went rampant. And it didn't matter who all the speculation, they'd throw somebody. Remember when they did the redhead and they were showing, which meant she would have been pretty hot to see. Chapin, Jessica Chapin.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were saying she was going to be Carrie. And I was like, holy shit.
People really were, I don't think I was speculating, but I thought like, well, if you're going to do it, at least do it with someone that makes sense. Right. And so we were scared.
Yeah. Because if they had casted Jessica Chapin in the role, you would have had to go, oh, fuck. This is another Helena thing. And you bought Helena. you totally bought Helena. So it's like.
So I think it was anticlimactic because it was kind of like, it was too far-fetched. Not only because of what Carrie looks like, but like I think we know, and this is something that even Shane says like in the show, like you're a snob, Tina was a little bit of a snob herself.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know I don't know, they didn't watch the show. And we've said this many times. They didn't watch the show. So like again, like that you were saying earlier about like, many people have played Superman, right? And they, to some degree, they've shaped the character to them. They shaped the character in some way, but at the core of it is the core values of the character, right? That are unchangeable, and that's what happened with Tina. And that's
you would never see Superman divorce Lois Lane and pick up another chick on the side.
Exactly.
Superman would never divorce Lois Lane. It just wouldn't happen.
Exactly. But, for some reason, our stories, our iconic characters can be subject to that, can be subjected to that, and and you can do all this damage without backlash. I am proud to have stood.
Well, all I can say is that Laurel stepping into this ring is stirring up the conversation again. That has been laid dead for quite a while.
Well, I'm not planning to feed the beast. I'm having this conversation with you, and I'm being open and honest about how I feel about going on with Laurel, because it's really throwing me off. Revisiting the L Word opened my eyes. You don't see, especially when you're young. I think it's hard to see that relationship for what it is, or at least for me, it was really hard to understand the relationship. And as an adult now,
well, you know why? Well, at least in my opinion, because there are two characters that they talk about coming out. Now, mind you, when L Word first came out, coming out was something that people talked a lot about. the process and everything. People don't talk about it as much anymore because it's pretty much been overdone. But at the time L Word came out, Jenny and Tina were the only two that we really got backstory about them being straight. And the process, what happened with Tina, I think more so Tina than Jenny, because Jenny's was so, it just left you a bad taste in your mouth, her whole process. You were just like going, oh, hell.
I actually shipped Jenny and Marina.
Oh, yeah. I didn't like Marina. But yeah, I like Mia. Mia's pretty good. I've seen her in a couple of things. She's a very good actress.
She is.
It's interesting also if you think that the show got bashed by the actors who used to be on the show. I mean, that's pretty bad.
It just, I think
it was just lending to more issues that were happening.
So it, I've had this conversation multiple times because I've been in the fandom for so long that this is the fourth wave of fans that I've been having the same conversations with. But I think we all agree. The vibe, I think that's one of the reasons why the PR had such a hard time controlling the narrative in season 1, because they blindsided Mia, blindsided Palm, and they just had a similar reaction to the one that we had, if not stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a voice, and they literally validated, because Mia literally said, no, this is not what happened to Jenny.
Yeah, it was bad because there are levels here. You have the mental health stuff, which was clearly a problem with Jenny. But then you had her struggle with her own sexual identity stuff. And then you're saying she did suicide. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Whoa. But the question is, what would have been better? Who would have been the murderer?
It didn't matter. I think.
Well, they were going to make Alice the murderer at one point,
Yeah, no, the farm. I think we speculated this really early on, really, really early on. We literally, before, we thought that one of the reasons why maybe Tibette were divorced, when we found out that that's where they were going with the storyline, we thought that it could be because Tina was in jail for Jenny's.
Well, yeah, a lot of people thought that. Yeah, a lot of people thought that Tina killed because of the filming and everything. Yeah, it would have worked. It would have worked, but that would have been crazy.
And talking about getting rid of a character in a way that makes sense, right? And I thought, and I remember talking to, I forget, those fans at the time. Mm-hmm. I remember saying, you know what? It sounds like a really tragic. It makes sense. That is something that Tina would do. She would tell Bet, live your life.
Mm-hmm.
Go live your life. You can't wait for me. Live your life and raise our daughter.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. And I would have been heartbroken, but that would be totally.
But you would have made sense, and it would have wrapped up everything. It would have wrapped up all the stories. Yeah. Really? Well, I said straight out they should have killed Tina.
Well, no killing. No thing.
Yeah, you don't like killing, but putting her in prison for killing somebody is killing them.
Well, no.
And it would have. It would have cleaned up Eileen Shaken's mistake. She's even said that season 6 was a mistake.
Yeah, we weren't.
And she could have sacrificed the character she hated anyways.
I
didn't like Tina.
The way I envisioned it is that she was in jail because of that, but it turned out that it wasn't her. So at some point she was gonna be out. But Bet moved on because Tina told her to move on.
Mm-hmm.
But then they find out she's not, and she gets out. And what is she gonna do now that Bet has a whole life?
Mm-hmm.
She's been gone for what, 10 years?
Mm-hmm.
So what are you gonna do? What do you do? You're put in a really tight situation. And can fans complain about that? No.
Talk about drama. Talk about interesting drama. Play that out.
And I keep telling you guys, there's so much shit that could have been written, right? I gave you a parting point.
Oh, you did. Boy, that would be interesting to write.
Exactly.
That would be wild.
But see, it makes sense. Tina would let Bet move on. Bet would have to raise Angie by herself. Angie would be having issues because her mom is in jail, and You have this
Mhm.
mom, and like, there's so much to unpack here, you know?
Mhm.
It would have made sense. But anyway, and you could have gotten rid of a bunch of other stuff, right? But
Yeah.
at the end, it would have turned out that it wasn't Tina. And maybe we would have learned something really interesting. Who did it then? You know? Was it
It was
Mark?
the little putz that was hiding in the bush.
Mark? It could have been Mark.
No, the girl.
Oh, you mean Nikki? Nikki Stevens?
Yeah, it was Nikki.
So it could have been Adele. It could have been Adele.
Could have been Adele.
It could have been Mark, the guy that was videotaping them.
Oh, yeah.
It could have been
But
Mark.
that was like 3 seasons ago.
Yeah, but what if it turned out that guy was, because now Jenny is known
Famous. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be blackmailing her. Wow, that would be wild. Girl, I need to take some
Hey,
notes.
dude.
Okay,
Hey,
hey, I need to take some
hey,
notes.
Kelly. I'm telling. I remember I keep telling you we need to collaborate.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So imagine I have a whole story written in my head that replaces genQ. That is even
Uh-huh.
more delicious than what I just told you.
You should give it to me because I could write it.
No, but that's what I told you.
I'll give you a byline. Helper. You were a helper. Creative idea brainstormer.
No, but I have a specific way that I want it. Oh,
Well,
I have a vision.
you just gave me ideas, and now I'm going to have to run with that.
Good.
So I just wrote finished chapter 10. When you hate so much, my search for the lost painting.
I love your writing. I just I already told you many times why.
Hey, in my book, in this book, they're together. They're all happy, and everybody's living together.
I can't. No genQ. No genQ. No genQ. I just gave you a story to replace genQ. Write it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Write it.
I just might have to.
Write it. I'll read it.
You'll read it.
I'll promote it. I'll fucking like read chapters and talk about it. This is one of many. But listen.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That one's really piqued my interest.
And I have more.
That one's really piqued my interest because if I write this, this is gonna get legs.
What do you mean?
You know that, right?
What do you mean?
It's gonna become a popular story. Simply because it links them in a way that makes sense. And it's still got the romance in it because everybody has love story.
I have more.
You have more. You have ideas, and I'm the writer, right? So
anyway, back to this conversation. So this thing with Laura, it just hitting me out of the left field. I just, I get the fact that there's not like a lot of noise going around the fandom and wondering what the hell is going on and stuff like that. And then I think it hit me. I got really excited when I saw that picture of like Bet. I can't call her Bet Porter now because it does look like Bet Porter. Like literally, like I don't feel weird.
Oh, the pictures?
Yeah, the picture of Bet.
But it's not even just the pictures. It's how the actors are posing.
Yes.
And the facial expressions and how it's like, oh, here we go. Here we go.
So I'm thinking about that, but and then I started thinking about, because so far it looks like Laura has been filming at least the first 3 episodes. It seems like she's gonna be in the first 3 episodes so far.
First 3 or the first 2?
You're right. It could be first 3 or first 2, and maybe I'm being too optimistic, but it kind of, I don't know. So I got really excited when I saw the Bet Porter picture, and then I think a few hours later, that's when I saw that Laura Holloman said, "Oh, I was in a doctor's appointment." That's how that, like, I was trying to not to freak out in the doctor's office, and yeah, I was like freaking out when I saw the pictures, Laurel's pictures. I was like, oh my fucking god, what the heck? And so I saw the pictures of Laura like a few hours later, and I was really excited, like really excited. I was like, oh my god, they're bringing it. And then I think that it was a day later that I saw that they were filming a scene with Angie, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot that Angie exists. And not only does she exist, she's a genQ character that Marcia seems to be really stubborn about too. And I'm like, no, this is all gonna be about Angie. genQ Angie, which I don't even think of her as Angie. And so I'm like, oh shit, I completely forgot about that. Of course, Marcia is not gonna give us anything. What was I thinking? Now I'm thinking we're not getting anything. I think with Laurel saying those things about Rosie today, it makes me feel like they're not going that way.
My thoughts were that they're not gonna say anything until Rosie does a phone call. And when they do that phone call, that's when we're gonna find out. And I think it's gonna be a phone call. And that's when we're gonna find out.
I don't know why
That's when we're gonna find out that they're married.
I think, that's who's married?
Tina and Carrie.
Oh, you think they're gonna be married?
Yeah, they're gonna be married.
I don't think so. The Pipa girl. Is that how you say it? Pipa? What's her name? Pipa? Pippa? What's her name?
Pippa.
I'll say it with my Spanish accent. Pipa.
Pipa?
Yes, Pipa. It sounds funnier. So just like Marcia, that woman is not coming back.
Yeah, it hasn't been confirmed, but
it's kind of really clear to me. I don't know why. I don't know. Even if it hasn't been confirmed, like to me, it's pretty clear that she's not coming back. Like I also don't think that like Rose is coming back. I don't think she's coming back. I think they're trying that what's happening is they're trying not to be so obvious about it. But to me, it's pretty much a deal. I don't think they're coming back. And then I saw how Ben and Tina, like the wardrobe for the upcoming season, and I thought, oh shit, they're doing it. They're giving it to us. They're delivering. I think I got too excited too soon because then I forgot that, thank you.
I don't think, well, here's what I'm thinking. I went and I looked at, remember I started this conversation as I went and rewatched 9 and 10. It's episode 10. It's after Marcus dies. Jordy and Angie are talking about college. And I could swear they're talking about living in the same dorm room in college. And they were working out the financial aspects of it and trying to figure it out. So they were already talking next year. And so the time jump, everybody's thinking it's going to be a big time jump. It's not going to be a big time jump. It's only going to be several months. Because basically the season ends probably in June-ish, end of June. Angie's graduating from high school. We never see the graduation, but if they do a 4-month time jump, they bypass the conversation you have with Tina and Bet from the door. You don't have to have it because it's already happened, right?
They don't have to have the conversation, and you skip forward a lot to them being together. At least reasoning. But then I also think it makes sense for the genQ people. But what makes sense to me logically is that then somehow like we jump forward and they're together, or they're trying to work it out by then. They know they want to be together by then, and they're just trying to work it out together. And I would concede that they're gonna have to work like a lot, and maybe that's a drama.
Well, if I was going to try to do a one-off and try to fix the situation in one season, which is basically what I don't think they're going to get a 4th season. I think we were originally correct that there was a 3-season contract because this show is being tanked everywhere. There's no way any normal place would have kept it going.
Who was I having this conversation with? What I see, my vision. If I really wanted a 4th season, if they're smart enough, they would do something similar to a season 5 with season 3 in genQ, which means that Ben and Tina would have to be toying around or kind of like sort of like tiptoeing or like dancing into this let's get back together and let's work it out kind of thing. I know it wouldn't be exactly a season 5 because at this point Carrie's out of the picture, Pipa's out of the picture, so now you just have them two saying we want to work it out but we don't know how.
I don't think it would be, I mean,
I'm just saying, I'm not saying that that's how,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm saying
I think,
wanted to,
yeah, kind of.
if they wanted it to be a success, if they, you know, just thinking about what made season 5 a success is that it was that playful flirtiness that like you got to see how they would have flirted with each other, like, you know, when they first met, how they
Mhm.
how they like their playfulness, their flirtiness, their like, you know, that like this forbidden like temptation thing. And I think they could easily do something very similar in season 3, which if you, I'm just giving you like, I'm just giving you ideas. I don't, this is not, I'm not saying they're,
Yeah,
I'm not saying that
they're gonna, no matter how they do it, however they package it.
let me finish giving
Okay.
an idea. So for me, it would have to be something similar to season 5, which means then that they would be toying with the idea of getting back together. Like you would see them kind of like back and forth. That, and that would be the sort of like the drama. Like, well, I want to get back to you, but I don't know how. And then you do have like moments of tension where like it's clear that there's like sexual tension between them, but they don't really like, but is there more than sexual tension? And if there's more than sexual tension, how are we gonna work it out? Because it didn't work last time. What even happened back then? Why the fuck did they even break up? Like, are they gonna have this conversation? Like, how are they gonna fix it? But I mean, it would have to be through them, right? But then throw in the mix this daughter that's like really annoying and that should be going away, and you know, you kind of like have to deal with this brat that, you know, that should go away. But anyway, that's just me. That's me. So I'm just thinking, you know, that could work. And then you can have funny scenes with like Shane and Alice and like, I don't know, their other characters. I don't know. Like make it funny with Gigi helping them getting back together or some shit like that. That would be fucking hilarious. I mean, like it's fucking hilarious. Like you were laughing about it. Like, you know, like I'm just trying to be funny here. Like what like something funny, lighthearted, like season 5 of the L Word. And what made it so explosive or like so like was the sexual tension between Laurel and JD, you know, between Bet and Tina, and they have it. They have it. They're in the same room and you feel it. So like, you know, that's there. We just gotta have a context for that tension. Like what is that tension? Where is the tension coming from? What is the tension point that is gonna make it like burst into fire? It's there. But you just gotta be creative and put, you know, make something up and make it happen. And that would be very much like season 5, but like different because now you have it's the same tension, chemistry, but it's you're they're older now. How's this gonna look like? How's this gonna happen?
It's not gonna be no stir fry. Ain't gonna be no stir fry happening.
No, well, okay. Ooh, the stir fry scene. There was nothing graphic. You know how many times I looked at the scene? I've looked at the scene over.
There's nothing graphic about it. They're fully clothed through the whole thing.
There's nothing.
Well, Laura sticks her hand down, Laura sticks her hand down JB's pants, but
so you don't have to be naked to do it. You don't have to get naked.
I know you don't. I know.
Now, most graphic scene was the season 1 scene and the season 5 scene, the honey scene. Those were the most graphic ones.
The honey scene?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the name of the song. The honey. The after Phyllis's party.
Oh yeah.
That song is called Honey.
Oh, okay.
That's why I think most people know it as a honey scene.
That's one of the very well.
That was the most graphic.
If they did it right, there's a couple things that would have to happen for it to be believable, and that would be there would have to be a tension in Bet or cognitive dissonance in Bet, where her heart, her brain, her heart and her head are just fighting with each other because she's not going to trust Tina. Any reasonable individual wouldn't trust her. So she's got this thing that she has to reconcile that, and that's only something Bet can reconcile.
Well, Bet would have to do it, but Tina would have to help her.
Well, Tina would have to help, but Tina would have to be the catalyst to push her one way or the other.
But I think
because that tension is there already. That fight is already happening. It's been happening for 2 seasons.
Right. Well, I don't watch genQ, but
Yeah, it's been happening for 2 seasons. When she sits there and tells Shane that, you never get over, that I'm still, I haven't gotten over it yet, that she made me feel alive. That's your heart and your head fighting each other. Pippa is telling her, you're not ready. Yes, I am ready. But yet in the previous conversation she's having, she's sitting there talking to Tina, and Pippa's looking at her thinking, oh, you're so still in love with her. So you've got this thing Bet's going through already. So it's already there. It's already been established as being there. So that would have to be acknowledged by Bet.
But
you would see it, but you'd have to acknowledge it. She would have to say straight out to Tina, how am I ever going to trust you again?
yeah, but I think
I love you. I've been in love with you for over 2 decades.
so. I love that, Kelly. I love that. Yeah. Hit me in the feels right now.
Yeah.
Wait, hang on. So what you're saying, what I heard you say, or what it sounds like, and this is something I think that a lot of fans have been saying and have been talking about it, that it would have to be Tina who is going after Bet.
It would have to be. It would have to be.
Yeah.
It can't be. Bet cannot chase Tina.
No.
But Tina chased Bet last time too.
Not.
Well, they kind of came together. No, Bet made the initiation. Bet's the one who crossed the line.
Not really.
I'm open to this. With the she-bar kiss.
I've analyzed this multiple times, Kelly. Like Tina made indirect attempts to it. She was kind of like fishing.
Yes.
It's kind of like throwing it. See if she would fish. And Bet was so stupid, it would go over her head.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, Bet, I think Tina's trying to get back with you. No, I don't think so. Why would she be helping me get back with Jody? And like, it's so like, it was like, over the head. But Tina was the one throwing the thing.
Yep.
It was waiting to see if Bet would catch it.
Right.
In season 5, it was the jealousy that kind of like really made Bet buy that. And then Tina just reeled it in. But so it seemed like it was Bet. It seemed like the one that made advances like physically was Bet, but the one kind of orchestrating everything was Tina. And like,
well, they've always said, everything I've read when they do character breakdowns is Tina's in control of that relationship. She always was.
Yeah, I've written about it. I
said Tina's the one who's controlling that relationship.
We are led to believe that Bet is the one doing everything, but the one that has been doing everything is Tina. No, it is Tina. And this is why it makes me like, this is like, and I've told you about this, and I'm gonna say it again. I want to write about like gender, because Bet and Tina play the gender thing very interestingly in the relationship, and you see it a lot in season 1. But they kind of flip those roles in season 6, which is what makes it so. When it comes to like gender and gender studies, it's like so freaking interesting, and queer theory as well, because it just flips everything on its head. Because at the beginning in season 1, you have them playing very obviously very femme masculine energies. But in season 6, you turn that around, and the way that you see, it's like you're really reimagining what masculine like energy is like, and what feminine energy is like. It's like
no, you're right. But I think that in season 1 they took it further, though. It was the characters were almost caricatures of that. They were so extreme, you had Tina, the stay-at-home barefoot and pregnant woman, and you had Bet, the sole provider, going to work.
But you know what? There was something that was so attractive to lesbians about that, which is a little bit like shameful to say, because I think a lot of lesbians really love that, really. And not only that, but this is why like straight people like identified with them, because it was so
you could have plugged in a male right into Bet's role and it would have fit.
Yeah. And the thing is, though, this is what
even down to her cheating and how it happened. Oh yeah, it was so masculine. So
but this is I really want to write about this. Like, it just bugs me, because it's so like I don't think the L Word realized how well they did it without even trying. That like they really flip all that on its head, and then
Mhm.
you really what you end up with is realizing that the men, well, in this, men are vulnerable. The strong people in the relationship are women.
Mhm.
Not only are they the strong one, but they can really carry it on their own. And because then you see Tina become like this really alpha, really like
Mhm.
get gore, like
Mhm.
by the end of season 6. But what I like the most is that it's two women, right? And they're like
Mhm.
balancing each other, which is
Mhm.
something that you would never see a man do, right? He would never step down
No,
for a woman to take that place, which is
right.
saying this is why queer people do it better.
Mhm.
Peace.
Mhm.
So that's the narrative. That's the story. That's like
Mhm.
Eastern people, we do it better than you do.
Mhm.
Take it home. But anyway, with season 3, I know I'm wrong about this, but I think, well, you kind of said that that's how you envision it too, right? Like you said you envision it that way, that it would have to be.
If they go with what they're laying out, with what they've put out on the table, the problem is that at the end of the season, Maja cut out 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes at the end. That was shot and edited in.
I think
And
it's
at the last minute before it aired, Showtime said something to her. And I think she was going to write off Tibette then. I think she was going to do something then. And I think that Showtime said, no, you can't do that.
but it
I
doesn't
think they
have
stepped in.
that scene at the door though.
They left her at the door. And no, what they said is they filmed a conversation with the two of them.
I think
That there was a conversation that was filmed and it never aired.
I think if so, I don't think Marcia has ever done anything original, and I don't know if you recall this.
Well, no, she's tapped into the show like crazy.
Yeah, like
Everything
she
in a
doesn't have
caricature
to-
original
oh,
show. Characters roles. I'm waiting for am my girlfriend such and such? What's her name? And my girlfriend Cindy. What is that? Hi, I'm so
Lover
and so
Cindy.
perfect. I'm still waiting for
I
those two to
never
show up.
Cindy.
Yeah.
So you know that in season 4, they didn't know if they were getting a 5th season.
Right.
And so you know that scene where when Tina says, "I still love you." I think
Oh, when they're sitting on the couch.
yeah. You know that scene, it was supposed to be a long conversation, and that was supposed to lead to them to have sex. And there was actually a sex scene that was recorded.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I did. What I don't. So I forget when, but like I went back into years of like some message, but I don't remember which one. But
Mhm.
but yeah, and there was an interview with Eileen that it's an interview that I read. I think it was on After Ellen, that
Mhm.
Eileen talks about not knowing if they were gonna get a 5th season, and so they had already. She was gonna put them together at the end of season 4, and that conversation they have on the couch, that was it. And they do talk about a sex scene, and
Mhm.
I even tweeted about it. I don't know how long ago. I said, "Can you guys believe there's a Tibet sex scene floating around somewhere and we haven't seen it?" Because it is a thing. It happened
Mhm.
in season 4, and so there was a longer conversation that led to them having sex and basically ending up together at the end of season 4. But then they didn't because they got the 5th season. So I'm kind of thinking Marcia kind of had something very similar where like Tina came in and then the conversation was they would end up together, and instead they left it open ended because then they knew they were going with the 3rd
Well,
season.
yeah, they said they knew. It's pretty much understood or believed that they knew going into the summer that they had already had season 3.
Yeah, because I think Kate and Alicia were kept talking about it.
Yes.
Talking about 3rd season.
Yeah, they kept talking about it, but they weren't ever saying it was confirmed.
I mean, how do you talk about a 3rd season unless it's
Yeah, they were
like
and
your brain?
yeah, it was buzz around, and there was enough buzz around it that everyone kind of believed there was a 3rd season. And when Marja came on and she talked about the editing, I know people were pissed. They're like, "What? You add that whole section?" Apparently, they took it. All the cliffhangers were added at the end.
I think isn't that her style? Like stupid as
Well, the
cliffhanger.
cliffhangers all end kind of funky. I mean, I guess you could end Finley and Sophie with theirs. You could end it like that. That would be fine, dropping her off in rehab and, you know, we'll see you when you get out. The Jeannie one was kind of weird because she gets arrested, but you could end there, I guess, you know. But the can I come in? That's a pretty like, huh?
Yeah, but I don't think. Well, I don't know. I'm wrong.
Well, there is a film
I'm
scene. There is a whole
logical.
scene there.
The problem here is that I'm a logical person, and genQ people are not logical people. So
Yeah.
that's a
Well, I
so.
called it last time. I wonder if I can call the ball this time.
Go for
I
it.
don't think they're gonna do anything. People are saying, oh, I want a sex scene. You're not gonna get a sex scene. Oh, I want a kiss. Highly doubt you'll get a kiss. Maybe
So
on the
Kelly,
last episode. In the last episode. Maybe. What it's gonna be, in my personal opinion, and this is the way I would write it, it makes the most sense, is taking off what you're saying is that push and pull, but a lot more baggage oriented push and pull, like, you know, those conversations where Beth's sitting there with her hands like saying, what the fuck am I doing here? You know, those kind of conversations,
and
you know,
if you see,
a crying, not dragging, pouring argument, love and anger, and you know, and I don't know if Laurel has the chops for this anymore, but
I think
it would have to be all of us would be going, oh, like that.
So
She wants somebody to throw something at the screen. That's what would do it.
hire us in their crew. I think you and I make a good team in writing Tibette. They should hire us, and they should let us write their storyline.
Mhm.
And because I think that's how it has to go.
Yeah, but
That's
see,
not-
what's going to lead to it, that's where the thing is with this, is it's not going to happen right away.
So here's the
It's
other.
going to have, you're going to have something that is in play that's going to cause them to have, well, it still will be Andrea, but there's going to be interactions, and what's driving those interactions, and what is causing the reflection, what is causing Tina to pause, what is making Bette pause, because they are divorced. Why are they pausing? What is it?
Yeah.
Because sex has never been an issue with them. They've always said that. Sex has never been their issue.
Wait,
They're good in bed together. They rock it in bed. When it
So,
comes to everything
is that
else,
what
the
genQ
problem
said?
is. Huh?
Is that what genQ said?
No. That's always been the case.
What do you
In
mean?
all of OG, even when they weren't together, they rocked it in bed.
No,
Sex
they had
never-
problems. They had problems.
Well, yeah, in season 1, after the baby too,
I
right
did
there,
mention-
season 2,
Tina mentioned it.
when she went to men.
Tina mentioned it again. So there was a time in season 1 where they both acknowledged that they haven't had sex for a long time and they're trying to have a baby. They have that problem when Tina didn't want to get laid with Bette, and Bette wanted to get laid, but Tina didn't want to when they had the baby. But then in season 5, Tina tells Bette, it's not like I haven't gone months at a time.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. She's in the white thing and she goes, ouch.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
No, it's a thing. It's an ongoing thing. But it doesn't mean that they can't rock it, by the way. So what? You have dry spells, but then you have all the times that you're really active. So like, you know, it happens in long-term relationships. So like, you know, it's just a thing. But so I don't think that's not I don't find that a problem at all.
Well, I don't, like I said, the actual physical intimacy is not the issue.
No.
It's the emotional stuff.
So I want to remind you that, but we keep saying 3 seasons. We keep saying, and so that's why when you keep saying they're gonna drag it out, I think you're right. But I'm just thinking with my logical brain. Right?
All they need to do, and you know I'm right about this. All they need to do is put them walking out into the sunset together, where we can fill in the rest of it, and we would be okay.
Well,
Icing on the cake, and if they really want to pander to the fans, is they'll do a wedding. And the thing is, you can't do a wedding in a year. You cannot do it unless she does a jump and another jump. If she does a couple of jumps and moves through 10 episodes, and in those 10 episodes goes through over a year, and she just jumps, because that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants the wedding.
I know, but
the wedding.
I think I
You're
wouldn't.
not gonna get the wedding.
That wouldn't. No, I don't. I think that's like really far fetched.
They're not going to focus on. They're not going to get a lot of screen time.
No, they're not. No,
not going to get a lot of screen
but
time.
I even think that they can pull it off with a little bit of writing, like with
They could if they wrote it right. If they gave some thick dialogue,
wanted to.
you know, like those scenes, like if we can have a couple of elevator scenes where they're really talking it out, and they're playing footsies, and then they have great elevator sex, you know.
They're so cute. So the road it doesn't have to be that long, and the reason why is because they've been separated for a long time by now. I think you figure shit out when you're separated. You really see a lot of things that you didn't see. It's just like,
I think Tina's already seen.
Yeah,
Tina's seen that she's verbalizing it also.
I think genQ just doesn't. It's just so badly written.
They need to give the conversation. They need to give the space to have the conversation.
That
And
whole
they haven't given. The only time we've gotten a conversation between the two of them, which was great and amazing, was when Laurel says, "I'm getting married," and that's the only time we really see them having a conversation.
Yeah. So
prior to that, we don't. I mean, we see the conversation in counseling, but Carrie's there and Angie's there and the counselor's there, and so they don't really have the conversation between them. They're having the conversation to the group. So you don't have it. You don't. They're never set up with an opportunity to have a conversation.
Yeah, I think that especially because of the entire history, I think it doesn't seem too far-fetched to me that they would get back together a little bit like within a year.
There's this conversation that has to happen. Like I said, something would have to prompt them being together and motivate the conversation. Something would need to do that. She can't just come over and say, "Hey, want a beer? Let's talk."
I think
it can't be like that.
Can I just, so I hate to like even use genQ, but we're talking about genQ.
Yeah.
I haven't seen much of it, but I'll just say that it's kind of a little bit clear to me, at least as an outsider who didn't watch the show, though, that there's a reason why Tina's asking, "Are you still in love with me?" There's a reason why Tina's asking, "Do you think I'm pretty? Like, do you think I'm as pretty as that girl that she's talking to?"
Oh yeah.
You know why? There's the reason why. It's very clear that Tina is very much in love, and it's kind of doing a little bit of the same baiting that she kind of did in season 4 when she wanted to get back with Bet a little bit, but she was.
Well, you've got Rosie or Carrie.
Yeah, and I think
prompting her. She keeps prompting her. Carrie's a great character for this whole thing. Because,
now that you're what my brain is telling me, because I haven't sat down and thought about genQ, by the way. I'm just doing it right now as I'm having this conversation with you.
Okay.
But it would make sense that Tina would use Carrie to like make Bet move. I think Tina, and you and I have talked about it, I think Tina can be passive aggressive.
Yeah.
And I think that based on what I was just telling you earlier, that what makes sense to me, kind of like from the Tina that I know, because I don't know Tina, but it sounds to me that maybe Tina did it out of spite, like
to care.
Yeah. So let me tell you. So the scene that I saw, when they're in the kitchen, and Tina's really angry. You don't know she's angry, but she gives me like the vibes that I got were like season 3 Tina in that kitchen. That's how it felt like to me. It felt like season 3 Tina. Season 3 Tina is very vindictive. She is not her best self in season 3. She was making faces that was very typical of Tina in season 3.
Mhm.
She made faces, but season 3, like she was like literally rolling her eyes at everything Bette said.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
she was like rolling her eyes in the kitchen. She had a really like she was really angry. Like you could tell like she was really, really angry. And I was like, what are you so angry about? Like I didn't I'm like, what are you angry about? You don't want to be with her? What the fuck? Like I was just kind of like, like trying to understand where the anger was
Yeah.
coming from. And she says like that woman with so much anger. And I'm like,
Right?
yeah, like, and I'm
Like,
like,
what do
well,
you care?
yeah, what do you so like, but like, and I'm thinking, what would be the thing? It only makes sense that she would just be vindictive because she lacks the communication and the vulnerability to say, I want us to get back together, Bet. And she's not saying that verbally. So instead, she's doing stupid shit like getting a fucking relationship with someone. Maybe so sorry, Kelly. So what it sounds like, how I connected when I'm thinking about Tina, Tina, not genQ, is that what makes sense is that she would be really angry that the divorce didn't wake up Bet. And maybe she was expecting that divorce would wake her up. But instead, I think Bet thought that what she was doing is giving Tina the liberty to like to be self. I think Bet thought she was being selfless by letting Tina go when Tina asked for divorce. But what really Tina was trying to say is like, fight for me. And but Bet is like, oh, I'm being selfless. I'm letting you go, Tina. And Tina like, bitch, I was asking you to beg. And like, and then she went like, and Tina's like really frustrated because Bet didn't get it. It went over her head. And then now Tina can't come back from that one. She asked for a divorce. Bet said okay. Like, how do you come back from that one? You have Bet. You have Tina really angry because she's still angry about, bitch, you didn't read the room. And they're like, they're but Tina can't go back on that one. So she's like, oh, so that wasn't enough. All right then. I'm getting married. Let's see how that one goes. And let me see your face when I tell you that I'm going to get married. And, it's obvious that she knew that it wasn't going to go well with Bet, right? And
Yeah.
so she brings Carrie in because that was what worked last time, right? When that whole, like, in season 5, like, how did she get Bet's attention after she kind of hinted many times and it didn't work? Well, she had to start dating, right? And brought around the people that she was dating to get people to get Bet like really like
Well,
riled
that
up,
doesn't
right?
seem really jealous of Carrie,
Wow.
other than Carrie's got,
Well,
you know,
that's the reason why.
she's not jealous of anything that Carrie brings to the table. She's
Right.
jealous only that Tina is going that direction.
Exactly.
That's it.
So
There's no
so
more.
then it so that's so now again I'm just this is to me like what would make sense, right? With Tina, with no, like, it's really stupid. It really is stupid. But it's something that I can see like genQ, I mean, Tina doing.
So what's going to bring them back together this time?
I think, but like I said, I can't think like genQ. You can, but I can't. And so for me, like you said, I think it's a no-brainer. It has to be Tina that is chasing after Bet. I think that Tina has to be really honest, and maybe that's something that she has to overcome, because I don't think she's ever been really honest. Like, I think she's been as honest as she could be, but I don't think she's been like vulnerable and honest like that with. I think Bet got really good at being vulnerable and honest with with Tina, but Tina hasn't. I don't think I ever saw her be that vulnerable with Bet. And I think she was really vulnerable with Bet in season 1, and I think that's why like Bet felt like kind of like very like Tina was too clingy in season 1, which I think that's why like she pulled away. So, but I don't think Tina has ever become that vulnerable again, and maybe that's where they touch it again, where like Tina has to be really vulnerable and say, "I really love you, and I really need you, and I really made a mistake, and I'm sorry." And maybe I don't know, maybe this is something that I haven't been able to be with you, really, really vulnerable to tell you what my needs are, and it's me. I haven't been able to be honest with you. I don't know, like, something like that. So you're saying, then, to wrap this up, you're saying they're gonna drag it. Nothing's gonna happen. And so what are you thinking? That that they're gonna bank on a season 4 to like deliver, or what are you thinking?
I think they're going to be in a different position coming into season 3. I think that they were able to play the stupid games for season 1 and 2 because they knew 3 existed. So what they were banking on was getting some momentum and that they wouldn't have to worry about it. But now they're stuck because they don't have any momentum. So I think that they are now, there's a couple things they're going to need to do. And a lot of it also depends on contracts. Is JB staying? Is the rumors true? Is she leaving after end of season 3? Because if she does leave at the end of season 3, then that means that there will be a resolution of the two of them. And so what will that look like? I could easily see JB agreeing to walking out into the sunset, still trying to figure things out, but doing it off screen, and then coming back later for maybe they could do the wedding scene later as a come back as a way of ratings grabber or something like that. What I see the way it's going to play out is I think that there's going to be the little dance, like you said. I think they're going to start the dance. How that's going to look, I don't know. I think Angie's going to play a role in it somehow. Although she had this kind of odd, kind of precarious relationship with Carrie, ultimately she verbalizes it. She always thought her parents would get back together. Bette thought they were going to get back together. So basically all your people around you are like thinking, what happened here? You got Shane even saying, if you're gonna go after her, here's the chance. Go ahead. You need to do it now. So she's even thinking, because you see Shane as the observer on a couple different scenes, and she's just watching them interact with each other and thinking, oh, this isn't over yet. And so if they're going to move in this direction, it will have to be a dance. I don't know how, they haven't said how many episodes that Laurel is in, which is interesting because they announced it right off the bat before.
You know how many episodes it's going to be, the whole season?
I thought it was 10. That was another 10 episodes. Then you had also Rosie come out, and she's, I guess, twice on TikTok mentioned that she's coming back, but only on a limited basis, which everybody kind of is believing. It's like you said, we all know it's one episode. And you're saying that they might have already filmed it and it's already in the can for them to use.
We said that Tina was gonna break with her over the phone, remember?
Yeah.
That would be it.
Yeah. Like this whole thing with Laurel coming out with this. If anything, this leads me to believe that you may be right, because last year she didn't come out and defend her, and it was horrible last year. But this year.
Yeah, it kind of feels like
it's like almost that she needed to defend her because she's not part of the show anymore. So it's like, leave her alone. She's done. The role is done.
Yeah, it kind of sounded, also it does, because it sounds like we played characters that we really care, like, so it's a done deal then. I don't know. That's I'm probably wrong, but like that's kind of like my hunch, and like so I think I came to the realization that I'm never gonna be able to like take genQ season 1 and 2 as canon at all, and so 3 may be it because they actually look like Tibette, but it all depends. I don't know. My brain keeps telling me there's no other way. They can't do anything else with them. They have to, especially if they don't know if they're getting a 4th season. It
would be really, it would go down in history as one of the worst things a show ever did to its fans.
If they don't give him a happy ending, would people even bother to go watch season like the L Word?
I think they would lose a very big segment of their.
Yeah, but who would go back to watch the L Word? If
everybody would, everybody has gone back to watch the L Word.
No, I'm saying like new people that are watching genQ who would decide, oh, I'm gonna go watch the original, because a lot of them went back to watch the original because it seemed like that we're gonna
Yeah, but once they've watched the original, they're like, what the hell?
yeah. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, would it make sense if they don't end up together for people to go back and revisit the original? I don't think so. They would lose money.
I think, like I said, it's not about them not being back together. It's about perception of what it will look like. Beth's career is now at a point with Angie.
Oh,
with
so
Angie going,
who was I talking
Angie
to?
now in college. Beth's career would allow, if Tina, if they go through this and they come to if it comes to the point where Tina is trying to maneuver and figure out what's going on, she just finally puts it on the table. I can't come to you. Please come to me.
I think it was in that conversation that we were having on Twitter that I kind of said it would make sense that they would be figuring how they would make it work, because Tina's not all of a sudden going to drop her career either, right?
Right.
I was thinking it makes sense that they would be away. Hey, in fact, I think I even said they would have to work the emotional stuff like you mentioned, but also the physical stuff, because they would be not in the same area, right? Because Tina is in Canada, and so they would have to find a way to be together too with the distance. But then that would help, because then that would give the break. Tina can go away when Laurel is at her show, and Tina can come back when Laurel is finished with her show. And so I was like, oh my God, that will make delicious makeup sex. Imagine them meeting in the middle of nowhere just to have sex in a random fucking hotel room. Not only that, like a hotel room, offices, sets, jacuzzis, like everything anything and anywhere is.
You are such a smut.
Oh well, okay, well,
you like your Tibette smut. You like your Tibette smut.
I don't mean it like that. I don't mean it like smut. Like I don't mean it tacky like genQ. I mean it like, well, I'm not saying do it everywhere. I'm saying, can you imagine the possibility of a scene in a jacuzzi?
Well, there's a lot of possibility, but I still think it's going to be.
I'm not saying there should be not like habits, but I'm saying
unless this season Tina's show folds.
What do you mean?
Her show goes out there, canceled.
Oh, you mean like tell
Her Toronto show gets canceled.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, but that would have her floating.
But I think that, well, I don't necessarily think they have to end it, because Laurel can't be in the whole season. So the question I have is then, though, can we fast forward to them having had that conversation? Like, we don't have to see that scene, because you can just just jump into them trying to work things.
And that would be genQ would do something like that. That's what genQ would do.
And so we know, so how we would know that happened is because they're struggling and they're having a hard time, and then one of them is going to reference that conversation at some point. Like, we talked about this, or it
could open up with both them basically saying that
I think it would
Pippa gone, and it can be said that they're navigating, they're both single now, Pippa's gone and Carrie's gone, and they're still trying to reconcile that piece of it.
But so the time jump, to me at least, it makes sense that they would say they had the conversation at some point, they're trying to work it out now. There's a lot of stuff, not only like emotional stuff that they have to deal with, the logistics as far as like locations, but then you also have Angie on the way, and Angie has they don't have a lot of time to focus on themselves, because Angie, it seems like there's like a scene about like driving a car, and at some point it kind of seemed like there was a car crash. I don't think it's going to be like a dramatic one, but
I don't know if there's a car crash, but there's definitely an argument happening in the car.
Yeah, something like that. But no, well, because it seemed like there was
Beth's in the front seat.
Well, there's one shot where there's Beth and Angie, and then there's Alice,
Shane, and Tess are in the back seat.
Yeah, that's one scene. But then there's another one where there's like Laurel, JB, and Angie, and it seemed like Laurel was really angry. Like they were fighting about something. Like
who's fighting?
Like it seemed like Laura was telling off Angie. I think it kind of seemed that way, and it kind of looked. And then in the background, you see there's JB holding a girl that I'm assuming is
Oh,
Angie's girlfriend. So it kind
yeah,
of
Dorothy.
looked like to me that maybe Angie crashed and Tina's
Oh.
telling Angie off, and Bet is holding that girl because
Oh,
she's too upset. That kind of like seemed
well,
so.
they said that I thought everybody said it's dropping her off at college.
Well, it seemed like Tina was really angry, or like
Yeah, that one scene where she's with Angie and Shane's there and Alice. They're in,
no. But
in back.
that's another one. That's with Bet and Alice and Shane. But in this other one, in this other shot, it was Angie, Bet, Tina, and Jordy, or whatever her name is.
Yeah, and you see and you see
It
Laurel's
is during the day.
and face looks like she's
Yeah,
angry.
she's really angry. But it's during the day. That scene is
Yeah.
during the daytime. But maybe I didn't see I don't know why I'm thinking that I saw a guard. Maybe it wasn't a guard. But anyway, there was Angie, Bet, and that girlfriend, and
Yeah.
it seemed like there was something going on with Angie.
But you got Angie, you got
How the hell?
Dorothy,
I wouldn't know how Bet and Tina got themselves like a really problematic team. It just makes no sense to me. I just
well,
like how do
they've
you
got
get,
a
like,
lot of it has to do with the fact that they're never around. I mean, they didn't co-parent.
oh, that I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Well, that's genQ's story, but I don't believe that. But which is why I'm asking, like, how did that even happen? Because
Well, how did they end up with a kid who didn't end up at a top level university?
well, that's genQ though. That's genQ's world. It just doesn't make sense with
Because she would have gone to Yale or something.
yeah,
Private school.
Yeah, she would have been a snob too.
Yeah, so
It would have made more sense if she was a snob. And as much as I wouldn't have liked that, I would have liked it more than this girl. I can't see that as Bet Porter's daughter. I don't. It makes no sense to me at all. And I'm not being shallow or anything. Just like Carrie doesn't make sense. She doesn't make sense. That character doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's Marja again. It's Marcia writing herself. I feel like. I think this conversation was really really good. I think a lot of people would like to hear it. So our sort of what we're thinking. I think a lot of people will get a kick out of this conversation. And so I think we said a lot of really interesting things.